Hey, you guys. Today is a work till we win Wednesday. And listen, yes, I did post in my stories that I would be coming on today, just a little bit afternoon, to talk about something called Learn the Lessons and Let God Fight the Battle. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because there's been several conversations that I've had lately with people who were in the midst of battles, or going through some things that they just didn't see how they were going to get through it. And there are those times that you do have situations where you're looking at it like, how in the world am I going to do this? But the beautiful thing is, if you know God, you understand that all things are possible, right? All things are possible for you. And so, if all things are possible for you, this impossible thing that is standing up and presenting itself to you is just a weapon or a lesson, right? They say, no weapon formed against us shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against us is condemned. Well, you have to learn how to, first of all, deflect the weapons formed against you with the understanding that they will not prosper, and have to also understand how to pull words out of the atmosphere that were spoken over you, even thoughts that were spoken thought about you, um, and learn how to render them useless so that they have no effect in your life. Okay, so one of the things that I was thinking about as I continued to talk, to several of my acquaintances about things they were going through, is the story of Gideon. And Gideon just stood out to me because, first of all, he was scared. He was scared, and a lot of people are like, okay, I'm scared, or they have this thing that they don't want to show, that they're a little worried or concerned. Listen, we don't have to be anxious, neither do we have to be overly concerned. We just have to go to the word and find the story that's going to give us something to stand on. If God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, that story was placed there for you to be able to grasp on, to hold on, to be encouraged and be motivated by that story, so that you, whatever your situation is, can apply that to your situation. So here's Gideon. And I guess I can set up what was happening. You guys already know, every time the children of Israel, they get besides themselves, they go into captivity, right? So when they get besides themselves and they start worshiping idols and they start doing all the stuff that the pagans were doing, God would allow them to go into captivity. Well, this time they went into captivity with a group called the Midianites. And the Midianites were hard taskmasters, right? The Midianites would let them go out, let the Israelites, they would get their little farmland all together. They would plant their crop and all this stuff. The little baby lambs would come, and the little baby calves would come, and they would get them all fatted up, right? And as soon as it was harvest times, here come the Midianites. They would ravish their communities, taking everything, leaving them with a little bit of nothing. So here's Gideon. This is where Gideon comes in, because the people, after a while, they didn't have anything. So they begin to cry out to the Lord, like, God, we need your help in this situation. We know we've been disobedient. We know we went out of your will. So listen, we willing to come back on in your will and do what you need us to do, but we need your help right here. So just like when they were coming out of Egypt, God sent Moses. Well, God sent Gideon. And where was Gideon? Gideon was found in a wine press, beating out oats. He's in a wine press, beating out oats. So you say, okay, so oats in a wine press, that they don't quite go together. Well, he had to hide so that he could get a harvest. He had to hide to beat out the oats, to put those in this little bag so he can take them back to his family and they can have some bread or something, right? Have some oatmeal or something. Because anything that they had, the Midianites were taken. And some of you may find yourselves in situations where you have people around you who are always needy. They always need something. Or you are under this oppressive situation where it seems like you just cannot get out of it. You got to just do what the children of Israel did. They cried out to God and said, now listen, I don't know what I've done to get here, but I need your help. And so with that, the angel of the Lord showed up to Gideon and said, listen, God is going to give you the Midianites in your hands. He is with you. Gideon wasn't having it. He was scared, knees knocking, like, what are you talking about? These people have been on us for years. They've been hard taskmasters. How is God going to give them into my hands? He didn't trust the angel of the Lord. So he had to put God to the test. And so he asked God to show him 3 different things to be sure that before he went on out here and stuck his neck out, that God was really with him. And some of us, we have to do that. They may call us doubting Thomases or whatever, but sometimes, you got to try the Lord. He tells you to test him. He tells you that to call him at his word. So call him at his word. If you know the word, then you can call him at his word, right? And so that being said, Gideon said, now, Lord, listen, if you are really, really with me, take this lamb skin that I leave outside in the morning and let it be soaked, but let the ground be dry. No morning dew on the ground, but it all has to be in this lamb skin. So next morning, guess what? Lamb skin was soaking wet, ground was dry. That still wasn't enough for him. He went back to the Lord and said, now reverse the process. Let's let the ground be wet and the lamb skin be dry. Well, guess what? God did it again. The lamb skin was dry and the ground was wet. I forget what the third one was. So that means you have to go read and find out what his third request was. But whatever the third request was, guess what? God did it. And so that proved to Gideon that God was with him. Once he knew God was with him, he followed the rest of the instructions. And their instructions were to go and surround the encampment of the Midianites. Now, the Midianites had put themselves at the bottom of some mountains. So, they were in the valley of the mountains. And there were mountains surrounding the entire valley. So the Lord sent them on out and first he told them, go gather the men. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because this is the part that tickles me. He goes and gathers the men, and there's about 33,000 of them. And so the Lord then decides, if I let them go out and defeat the Midianites with 33,000 men, they're going to think they did it themselves. Y'all know how we are. We want to take credit for some things, but guess what? Only God gets the glory. So we always have to remember to give God the glory. So God wanted to make sure that they were not able to take any glory for themselves, that they would know that it was him who did this thing. So he takes those men and he says, Gideon, tell everyone who's afraid to go back home. 22,000 of his men went back home. So yes, he's left with 10,000 men. Now you got to know the Midianites were mighty in battle and they were strong in numbers. Okay. So you down from 33,000 people to 10,000. That wasn't enough for God. God said, well, listen, I want to make sure that you know that I'm with you and that I'm going to help you win this battle. I want you to know that this is me. So take the men down by the brook and let them drink because they're thirsty. If they lap up the water like an animal, they got to go home. But the ones that scoop the water with their hands and drink from their hands, they can stay. Well, Lo and behold, only 300 men out of the 10,000 men put the water in their hand and drink from their hand. So here's Gideon and the 300. They had to go out and fight the Midianites with only 300 people. Now, I just said that the Midianites were mighty in number. They were strong in number. But it didn't matter to God because he knew that he was going to cause them to win. And so it tickles me that they didn't go out and they follow God's instructions. Go up on the mountain, take your clay pot, take your trumpet. And when Gideon sounds the trumpet, everyone else sounds the trumpet from their position on the mountain. So if the Midianites are in the valley, when they sound those trumpets, it was loud down in that valley. Well, that woke them up. It was a loud sound that woke their enemy up. And then he told them to break the clay pots. So when they broke the clay pots, that's another loud clatter and chatter going down into the valley. So they were totally confused at that point. And they thought that the Israelites were already down there fighting with them, such that they start fighting and killing each other. Ain't it something when God will allow your enemy to destroy their own selves? So you don't, even when somebody is bothering you, pestering you, getting on your nerves, and they have teamed up. The enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation. They have teamed up. God will cause you to win, guys, in the middle of situations like that. So don't fret yourself. He says, fret not over evildoers, because soon they will be cut down like the grass, right? And we all know that pride and a haughty spirit comes before a fall. So because the Midianites had been whooping their tails for so long, they were prideful in that. They thought they could just continue in that. Well, this time God had a plan that was going to bring his people out. And listen, I noticed something. Every time God allows his people to go into captivity, whenever it was time to pull them out of that captivity, however the person or the persons who held them into captivity treated them is how God handled them in the end. So if you were a good taskmaster, you didn't get beat so bad. But if you were horrible to his people, even though he let you capture them to prove his purposes and to bring them where he wanted them, if you were horrible to them, he made sure that you knew that he was their God in the end. So not only did they start infighting, they were killing each other. Then they became so afraid that they just ran away. Gideon's army began to hunt them down. They began to chase them down with their torches in hand. And listen, by the time everything was said and done, the people had been killed more of their own people than Gideon had even killed. And Gideon won the battle to take the children of Israel out of the Midianites' captivity. So listen, no matter what you're going through, you may say, well, I'm only one person, Renee. Yeah, but Gideon was just one person too. And so was Moses. And so was Joseph. And so was Deborah, or Deborah, as a lot of people like to call her. They were all great leaders who had just a few people with them. But God stood up mightily with them, him and his heavenly host. So I want to encourage you not to worry about the battle so much. Learn the lessons that you need to learn in the lesson. In this situation, Gideon learned how to trust the instructions of the Lord. He learned how to trust God. He learned that God will do exactly what he would say. And God is bold enough and big enough to go ahead and give him the signs that he needed to trust. And once he trusted and he went on out into battle, God was a man of his word. He took care of his enemies for him. So y'all don't worry. Don't stress. Learn of what you're going through and let God fight the battle. He tells you to enter into his rest. Vengeance is his. So if it's his, bless your enemies. Give it to God and know that it will be handled. You go on and focus on the things that you need to. So that being said, guys, this was another Work Till We Win Wednesday with my boy Gideon. I hope you are encouraged and stay encouraged. Be good to yourselves, guys, and then be good to others. God bless you. Have an amazing day.